Hey guys, Polly B here of Sober Me and the C.C.B.C. And for those of you that don't know what the C.C.B.C is, it's Cruising Custom Bicycle Club. It's a clean and sober club that I'm trying to start all about sobriety and building custom cruiser bicycles. Just so you guys know that in this, I'm going to tell my whole story from how I was brought up, becoming an addict at a young age, to my adult years in addiction, and to now with sobriety. I'm going to start off with the way I was raised and how I was brought up and where I was brought up in the second video here. I hope you guys enjoyed the first video. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you guys want. Ask questions too if you like. But just so you guys know, currently I'm in Cambridge, Ontario, living, but I grew up in Belle Island, Newfoundland. It's a little tiny island in Newfoundland on the very far east coast of it. I was brought up in a poor family. We were on social assistance our whole lives. My dad was a very sick man with cancer and diabetes. My mom, very, very healthy woman, done a lot of stuff growing up. I was raised a little bit of the old school way, a little bit rough and tough, a lot rough and tough actually. I grew up being beat by my father, very manipulated, very opinionated, and I grew up getting verbally assaulted, which is, growing up, when I grew up, you didn't talk about it a lot. You weren't allowed to talk about your feelings. You didn't have them emotions with your parents back then. It's just the way it was. But I grew up, my dad was a DJ, so we played a lot of weddings and dances and variety shows and this, and I did the sound and lights and stuff for all the events that happened on this little island. It's in, like, at little islands, everybody knows everybody. But it's one of them things that if you're raised up in that type of world and you're poor, you get made fun of a lot. So I grew up getting picked on, getting made fun of because of our poverty in our family, and that caused me to outburst a lot in class. I am ADHD, I am dyslexic, I am ODD, OCD. I do have a lot of anger built up in me, and I have since a very young kid, but a lot of that anger stems back between mine and my father's relationship, which was not a very good relationship. I had an amazing relationship with my mother, just never had an amazing relationship with my father, and just never ever got that chance to be that tight with each other. In some ways, it made me a better man of who I am today, because it also taught me a lot of what was wrong, but it's also made me miss out on a lot of opportunities with my family. Most of my family, we are spread apart from each other and really, really distant. I grew up with two sisters, two brothers. We grew up in a 3-bedroom house, bungalow, little small place, like, overlooking the whole island where I'm from, and you can see the water from 3 sides of my house. Like, it was very nice in that way, but everybody also knows with a smaller, tight-knit community, you do get more to go around. And in my younger years, like, I remember when we were kids, we were into bikes a lot, and me and my buddy, my best friend, we used to build a lot of BMXs together and mountain bikes and stuff like that in our childhood. So that's what got me my passion now for building bikes. So a little bit more about the bike. So far, this is my down tube. This is what we got built here. I already got the gooseneck and everything all in place. So for getting ready to make my triple trees now for this, I decided to go ahead and make my bottom bracket, which this will attach in front of the swing arms, and then we also will attach onto the down tube where the old pedal box is. So that's what I got done right now. This needs to be cut off here, and then it needs to be rounded out, so in that way you can attach to this nice and tight. tighter the grip, the better. So that's what's so far, how far along we got with that. These are my spring arms. These will be spaced apart about 4 inches, and that should be enough for both wheels to fit on the back. Yes, like I said, both wheels on the back. This is going to be a completely different build from what I've seen other people doing custom bikes out there. I really want to be different with this one and just try to showcase in the end like what I can do with a little bit of recycled steel. Because every bit of this here is part of an old mongoose frame. These 2 pieces here is part of a shopping cart. These 2 pieces here were made out of just some round bar that I had kicking around from some old scaffolding. So like everything I got is recycled metal right now. And that's what I'm hoping to continue to do. Yes, some builds I may have to buy some brand new stuff, but at least 50%, if not more of it, will be built out of recycled steel. So, like, I'll do one recording about my story and talk a little bit about the bike, where I'm at, and then the second part of that, part 2 of that, will be working on the bike itself and talking a little bit about my story. And then we'll go back to another video about my story, and then back to another one about the bike and story. So just so you guys know, back to where I was, but it's the way I was raised and the way growing up. I got in a lot of trouble growing up. I was a hard case. I was a class clown. I had to be the center of attention. Always outburst. And because of that, I got prescribed ADHD medication at a very young age. And I got put on a pretty high dosage at a pretty young age. And in fact, instead of calming me down, I was on so high of a dose that it just ended up making me hyper, and I still had outbursts. So I got in a lot of trouble, and I mean, right from when I started school and I got to preschool, I can only remember a couple events in that. I can't remember any of kindergarten. I can't remember any of grade 1. Grade 2 I can remember because I got in a lot of trouble. In grade 2, I spent the whole first year of grade 2 up by the principal's office for getting in trouble every single day. And that's not over exaggerating, my friends. That was every single day that I was down by the office. It got that bad at one point in time that the principal had taken his belt plus 2 other people's belts to strap me down to the chair because I kept getting up off the chair and going back to class. And I know as bad as that sounds, yes, it's true. They strapped me down to a chair with belts so that I could not get up. I told you I was raised in a different world. A lot of stuff goes on back in the day at these schools that now is not acceptable. Thank God it's not. That's all I can say about that. But yes, there was a lot of stuff that it was happening with our teachers. They felt that they were like a parent kind of a teacher to do whatever they felt that they wanted. And it just goes to show you, imagine what they did to us at school. I can only imagine what their kids have experienced at home. And I can imagine because I was experiencing that type of teacher at home, which was my father. He's very rough, very tough, very strict, and it had to be his way or no way. And at a very young age, we were forced to do all the music, DJing stuff with him. Yes, we did have some good times while we were doing that, but I'll tell you right now, it would have been a lot better if we weren't forced to do it. But that's what our family did. You worked with the whole family. The family had a job, and you were able to help out. Well, you helped out, and that just was that. We didn't ask, we didn't complain. Yeah, we did not like it all the time, but yes, we did have some good times, but it all wasn't all peaches and rainbows. So a lot of my trauma, I date back to my father and what we've been through, because I'm terrified of needles, and I can honestly tell you why I'm terrified of needles is my dad is a diabetic. So back in the day, diabetics used to have a syringe themselves to take a little bit of fluid from this bottle and a little bit of fluid from this bottle, and then they would inject themselves safely with their insulin, which all diabetics do. Now it's a lot easier with the new contraptions that they have now, where they just twist them and boom. But back in the day, you used to have to push them out and syringe yourself and just push them in your arm and boom. But whenever I used to misbehave, my father would threaten to poke me with a needle, and it hurt. It did. It hurt. So we did not want to get poked with a needle. So that's, I would like literally flop down on the floor crying. I'll do dishes. I'll clean this. I'll clean my room. I'll help fold laundry. I'll do anything. And that's exactly what I was, bawling, screaming in tears, because I was frightened of that. And still to this day, I am frightened of that, of needles. I am tattooed head to toe everywhere. So you wouldn't think I would be, but yes, I still am afraid of needles. I still do have that fear every time I get tattooed myself. So, yeah, the fear is real. And a lot of my base was lived in fear because of the trauma I was put through. Sometimes verbal is worse than physical abuse. Because sometimes the verbal sticks with you. The physical, whatever, you get hit, you get a bruise, if it heals up, you're good to go. But the mental abuse sometimes is a lot worse. And I would endure my dad so disrespectful to us, to my mother, and to anybody else. But then when he was in public, he would play off like he was the nicest guy in the world. And for that, I hated him for years. And I still do kind of hate him with it. I've let go, but I still do kind of hate it. And then a lot of my trauma dates back to that. And then I did a lot of counseling growing up as a kid, a lot of counseling. And then I went through counselors, like a lot of counselors at a young age, because a lot of them would tell my parents exactly what we were talking about. And then I lost trust in them, so then that trust was gone. But that only taught me more and more about how strong I could be for myself, because the only person that I did have was me and my mother. But for a while there, I didn't even have my mother because she was not allowed to speak to me. And that we'll get into more of as we get into the later stories. So far we're at grade 2. Now we get into grade 3. Grade 3, I started fighting back with the teachers. All of them. I punched the principal, broke his nose. I had no fear in the world. I got picked on as a kid a lot, so I knew how to take a beating. So there's nothing they can do to me. I wasn't scared of nobody anymore. So I was causing a lot of trouble, a lot of havoc. So then every time I get in trouble, as soon as I get home, I would get 20 straps a hand. And that went on for years like that. And then it used to be 30 straps a hand, and 40 straps a hand, and so you guys can see it. I mean, they'd be like hard smacks with a leather belt on your hands. And after 5-10 of these, man, your hand stung. But it stung to the point where you didn't feel it no more. So there was a lot of that growing up. And then, like I said, it caused me to have a lot more outbursts and getting in more trouble. And then, like I said, I was scrubbed more and more Ritalin. Every time it'd be always outbursts, more Ritalin. So then for a bit, yeah, I would be sobby and drowsy, but then it would get used to it, and then bang, I'm hyper as can be. And that's just a little bit about my background, about how I was brought up. In the next video, we'll get into the grade 5, 6, and 7, and that was the last grade I did. And more work on the bike here. We're getting this cut up and this attached to here, so we can attach the swing arm for the back, which is, I think I'm going to make it a hardtail. I'm not too sure. But yeah, that's just a little bit about how I was raised and how I was brought up, and a bit of the background. We'll get into more into the next video. But please, like I said, like, subscribe, share, comment.